Okay, so what I got here is a power supply from a Vizio VF550M. And I got the TV the other day, and originally what it was doing is the TV wasn't turning on, and if you could only tell with the lights out, you could see the Vizio logo on the front. When you press power, it would just barely lighten up, and then it would go right out. And it never was orange, which it should be orange when the TV is off. So the first thing I tried is I took a 4K resistor and I jumped between PS on and 5-volt standby. And when I did that, I was able to get my secondary voltages, my 12 and my 24. And at that point, I pretty much believed that the power supply was good and it was a mainboard problem. So the next thing I tried is I just removed the enable wire, the one that goes to PS on, from the main board, and with that resistor jumping from PS on to 5-volt standby so that my secondary voltages were on, I then pressed power on the TV and it turned on. Everything was fine. So at this point I was pretty sure that I had a mainboard problem. Then what I noticed was the TV just started working. Like, I disconnected the resistor and I hooked the wire back up to the main board, and all of a sudden the TV's working. So now I was thinking I had like an intermittent problem, but then what I realized was my secondary voltages were not turning off. So even though I could turn the TV on and off, the secondary voltages on the power supply were staying on. Now if you look right here, you'll notice I have nothing hooked up to this. I just have my ground lead to my meter right here, and it's plugged in, but there's nothing in any of these, nothing connected to any of these connectors. So my 5-volt standby is here, and my PS on is here. There's nothing connecting them. But if I check my secondary voltages, you'll see that I have 24, and where is 12? I also have my 12, 11.9. It's close. So what it is for whatever reason this isn't it's not switching off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug it, and I'm going to flip it over. Now this is the part you want to be careful, because even though I unplugged it, there's still a charge across this main filter cap right here. There's still a charge on that, and you do want to be careful there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate it and discharge it. You'll see, try to get the meter so you can see it, but there's going to be a little bit of glare, I guess. And everything is backwards right now, so, I mean, as it shows on the camera, so it's a little difficult, but let's see what we got here. Oh, we're good. Okay, it's discharged. Some will actually hold a charge longer than others. But anyway, what I came up with, I'm going to spin this around so it's facing me. Let me see, I marked it somewhere. Oh, here we go. What I did is I took the PS on pin, which is this pin right here, and I know you can't really see this real good. Maybe I can zoom in. No, I think, see if I can zoom in a little bit better for you, but I'm not going to get it real close. So I guess that's as good as I can get. So the PS on pin here, I traced it. It comes through this jumper. I think think it was that jumper. One of these jumper. No, it comes through this jumper right here. And then from there I followed the trace, and it comes to this transistor right here. And this transistor is actually marked 702. And when I looked it up, it turns out it's an N-channel MOSFET. And this is what is being used to switch the secondary voltages on and off. So what I'm going to do is, and when I test it, actually this is probably important. When I test it, there's 3 components right here. You hear that beep, okay? Testing for continuity. It appears to be shorted. But I don't know for sure that it's that, because this resistor and this capacitor also test shorted, but they're all parallel. So could be any one of them. I really do believe that it's going to be the transistor though. But then, interestingly enough, there's another transistor over here. I believe it's this one, and this is totally unrelated. Perhaps a different circuit entirely. I don't know, but it's on the primary side actually, and I'll get a good close-up of it with the microscope, because it doesn't appear to test bad, but it's like lifted off the board. It doesn't look healthy, so I'm going to replace that. And that's also a 702. I think it's a 2N7002 is actually what they are if you look it up. So I was able to locate a scrap board that I had that has those same transistors. So rather than order a new one and have to sit there and wait 3 days for it to get here, I'm just going to try a used one, and you know, it's fine. So I'm going to do that, and I'll switch to the microscope when I do that, so you'll be able to really see better what I'm doing. So I'm going to do both of them, and then we're going to try this board again and see if we've managed to get it to where it'll switch off. And once I pull that transistor, I'll test the that cap and resistor again too. So what I'm going to do now is switch cameras, and then I'll give you a better close-up view and show you what I was just really talking about, and then we'll start working on this. Okay, so now this, what you're seeing right here is the transistor that I was talking about on the primary side, this one right here. Right, this one right here, okay. This is the one that was on the primary side that I said is unrelated to the PS on circuit, and if you look at it, it doesn't look good. It kind of looks like it's, like I haven't done anything to this yet. So this may possibly be the original problem with this. This thing looks like it's actually like kind of blown apart. And I don't have any clue why, but yeah, it definitely did. I mean, that's blown apart. So I'm just kind of lucky that I noticed that. I don't want to take my pad off. I gotta be careful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder it so that I don't, there we go, damage that front pad. Yeah, at least it made desoldering easy. So yeah, I don't know why that or how that happened, but that might just have been the original problem. So as far as I know, I didn't short anything or damage anything, but I guess we'll find out when I replace these 2 transistors. I guess we'll find out then, because if it's still doing what it was doing before, or rather goes back to what it was originally doing, then maybe somehow I did it, but I really don't think I did, because if I did, I would have knew right then. So okay, so that's that one. Now I'm going to switch over to the other one here, which is this one right here, right? Yeah, this one. So actually I'll give you a different angle. Get it from the top on this one. And focus. I guess that's good enough. You don't need to see the numbers. It's a 702. Okay, so this resistor right here is 100K. So it's 100 times 10 to the third, which is 100K, or 100,000 ohms. And we actually get, is my meter still on? Yep. We actually get nothing, okay? But that doesn't mean that it's bad, because it appears to be in parallel with this transistor. This transistor is, if this is what's shorted, then it's probably why this is reading 0, because it's parallel. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull that transistor off. And let me find my tweezers real quick. So, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of flux on it. And little flux. Then I'm going to take some fresh solder, which I need to now find. Oh, here it goes. My workbench is a mess, and if it wasn't, it would mean I wasn't doing any work at all. So, okay, so we're going to put a little bit of fresh solder on here. And what that does, it just makes it so it's a little bit easier to remove, because it's most likely the lead-free stuff on it. So, that being said, I just put that on the wrong one. Now I'm going to actually put flux on the right one, and we're going to do that again. So, I'll clean that other one up later. So it actually could very well be either one of these other components is bad, but I really think it's going to be the MOSFET. Oops. Okay, so now this part is going to be a little loud. I'm going to use my hot air. So try to do it quick. Let it heat up first. Okay, so I'm doing this at 245 degrees Celsius. Why? Because that's somewhere near the melting temp of lead-free solder. If it was leaded solder, I would probably do it at about 185. So, because leaded solder has a lower melting temp. And okay, so I'm just cleaning up the excess solder now. And cleaning up the other MOSFET or transistor there that I mistakenly put extra solder on. And now I'm going to add a little bit of solder just to make it look good. Just because I took a little too much off. So now I'm going to get ready to put this new MOSFET on the other position on the board, so I'm going to add a little bit of flux, and then I'm going to add some solder to the one pad. Then I'm going to put my MOSFET in place and somewhat line it up, but when the solder melts, it's going to pull it right in place anyways, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So I just want it somewhere so that one pin is just touching the solder. I just, line it up a little bit. And now I'm going to take my heat or my hot air, and I'm just going to reflow the solder, and you see it pulled right into place. So that's that. And now I'm going to add some solder to the other two pads, or the other two pins. And that's that. And then I'm going to just touch that front one to remove any tension. And now I am going to clean it. So I'm just cleaning it with a toothbrush and some 91% alcohol. And it looks good. Now I'm going to switch over to the other MOSFET and do that one. So now I'm going to check this resistor right here while I have this one off, and the cap. And as you do not hear a long beep, then that would mean that MOSFET was the problem. So we're going to put the new one in place. First we're going to put a little bit of fresh flux. And we're just going to touch that with a little bit of solder. Move my transistor in place. Move my microscope so you can actually see it. And a little bit of hot air to reflow that solder. See how that just kind of jumped? And then we're going to solder those other two pads. That looks good. And we're just going to touch this front one to relieve any stress. So now if we check that, well, we'll clean it first so I don't get my probe sticky or stickier. Okay, so now if we get our camera back in place here, focus. And if we now check this again, okay, that was, okay, so with the camera in place, what it is it's I'm touching something else. Okay, there we go. So a little bit more difficult with the camera here to do this, but as you can see, no more beep. Now we're supposed to get a beep. Since it's an N channel, then it should actually beep in 2 places. Well, I don't know. So anyway, though, it's not shorted anymore. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to switch back to the other camera, and I'm going to then plug this in, and we're going to see if that fixed it. And hopefully it did. Okay, so I've switched back to the other camera now, and let's see, try to get the whole thing on here. Alright, so I haven't even plugged it in yet, so if it explodes, you're going to know right when I know. So, here we go. Plugged in, and I have no 24, which is correct, and I don't have 12 volts, which I shouldn't, and my 5 volt standby is there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a resistor, and let me see. Yeah, this will work. 1.5K. It's not like crucial. Okay, how am I going to do this and not short anything? Oh, I know. Okay, so I'm going to do this with these little alligator clips very, very carefully. Oh, that's done. So I'm connecting actually to that middle 5 volt pin, so in the event that it touches one of the side pins, it's still 5 volts, so it's not going to hurt anything. And now you should hear a click, which you actually heard when I touched the wrong one there. So now there's my 11.9. There's my 24. If I disconnect this resistor, you hear it click off, click on, click off, click on. So this board is fixed. Now if this was the original problem with the TV, then it's done. Otherwise, you will be seeing me do a main board repair right after this. So that's it for now, though. Okay, so that seems to have solved the problem with the power supply. The TV turns on, works perfectly fine, but what I've noticed is when it turns off, there's no orange light. The Vizio logo is not lighting up orange. I think it's supposed to. other Vizios that I've had did. So the next video I'm going to be troubleshooting the main board to see if I can figure out why that's not happening. But other than that, this repair was successful. Click like, subscribe, click the little bell so you get notifications when I put out more videos, and thank you for watching.